Keir Starmer has paid back £6,000 worth of the freebies he got. This includes 6 tickets to Taylor Swift. I mean, I'm now at the point, given the number of other politicians who've admitted they got free tickets to Taylor Swift, I don't think there was anyone at Wembley who'd paid for their sodding ticket at this rate. No wonder you couldn't buy them. I mean,
they're all being given out for free.
I mean, literally, would you want to go to a big pop concert and basically everyone around you is a member, as it would have been then, a member of the Labour shadow front bench? I think that would have been, I'd be like, oh, God, this evening's going to be ruined, isn't it? We also know he hasn't given back the suits. Probably no point, because they only fit him. They're obviously designer suits. But also a rental deal, loan deal with some top designer I'd never heard of. And obviously, I'm not someone who has designer clothes. High street girl all the way, as you can probably tell. A deal for his wife. But he kept all the suits and all the other stuff. Now, we're told that this isn't a bid to sort of draw a line under this freebie issue. We've been talking about this, I think, for 3 weeks now.
It is. It's the drip, drip, drip of information. And if you think this is going to move it on, all it's done is bring it back into the public's consciousness again. Because for the last couple of days, people were a little bit interested in leadership contenders in the Tory party. And then Keir Starmer's made the decision to pay back some of the money, not all of the money. And he's chosen some really random items to pay back.
Why is that not acceptable? But other things. But also, Keir Starmer's defence is, I've not done anything wrong. I've obeyed all the rules.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I've not done anything wrong, I've obeyed all the rules, but I'm going to give the... I'm going to stop doing it. I'm going to stop taking those freebies. So if it was OK to take them, why not carry on taking them? Well, I'm not going to do it now. And now I'm going to change the rules around what you can and can't take. And now I'm going to pay the money back. So if you think it was wrong to take it, why don't you say it was wrong to take it?
But also,
because none of it adds up.
No, it doesn't. And it's him giving that money back. But what about everybody else, as you said, that got the Taylor Swift tickets? Yeah. Are they now going to be under pressure to pay that money back, or can they just get away with it?
But the question also with these things is, like, why do you want to give Keir Starmer Taylor Swift tickets? I'm pretty sure that Keir Starmer can find his way, because he's got hundreds and hundreds of thousands in the bank. We know he's got a house worth £2 million that the mortgage is paid off, and his wife's earning as well. He's earned big money for years. He's got a big pension stuffed away from being Director of Public Prosecutions. I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that maybe he can afford to buy his own Taylor Swift tickets if he wants to, right? Yes. So I don't understand why people are thinking, oh, I've got some tickets. Why do they want to invite, of all the people, for a fun pop night out? I know, Keir Starmer.
I'm not sure, because he's not exactly going to be there dancing away, singing along to all the lyrics.
By the way, I'm a fantastic guest in a director's box. I am party central. I'm telling you, I'll be the first up dancing. I'm just, if you want to invite me, absolutely won't influence anything I say or do, because I'm already in the payment of, what is it, Big Israel, Big Oil, I lose track. Big Pharma,
so many.
I know. I mean, frankly, the money is rolling in, obviously, on those checks that come in every month to tell me what to say. By the way, irony, not irony, sarcasm. But this is the thing. That's why it won't go away. And again, this is all about the contrast, isn't it, between people losing winter fuel allowance, people really struggling, facing, we're told, a painful budget in, you know, was it 27 days' time, and people, and then the very well-off going, oh, God, another freebie, get in.
But then, you know, you've got Angela Rayner with her £800 tickets to a DJ set in Ibiza. Yeah.
But she's just like, I'm just an ordinary working class girl,
but someone else has paid for me to be here, and that's fine. And that's only just been registered.
Yeah, exactly. Now, also, the man who is behind an awful lot of these donations is Lord Wahid Ali. He's a Labour peer of many years, but I got his peerage during Tony Blair's days. Multi-millionaire, fingers in many different pies. He's now being investigated by the House of Lords Standards Watchdog over allegedly failing to register interest in a particular a particular company that he owns. Again, we're not entirely sure about, you know, which particular company this is, but basically he is being probed for alleged non-registration of interest. Basically, you know, you have to register anything that could reasonably be thought to implicate and influence your thinking. He's now subject to list his directorship in MAC or MAC BVI. So this is a company that he has huge shares in, registered in the British Virgin Islands. I wonder, it's amazing all these companies registered in places like the British Virgin Islands, where you can keep a lot of the ownership very, very secret, but you also pay far lower rates of tax. But there we are. But there's question marks about that. Also, money that Lord Ali has lent or given to a Labour peer. He also gave money to he actually lent it, but whether it was paid back I don't know. But he gave money to a Baroness Paula Udin more than a decade ago. This was during the expenses scandal, 2009. This was after the Lords authorities ordered her to refund the taxpayer. Now, wrongful expenses by Lords were then revealed in 2012. Sunday Times did this, and basically there was just a whole load of money that was donated to help her pay off basically wrongly claimed expenses, claimed that she was living in her only home and she needed overnight expenses to stay in London because she claimed she lived out of London. She didn't. She lived in Tower Hamlets, London. I know Paula Udin. She was a councillor, a Labour councillor in the Tower Hamlets Council when I was a cub reporter on the East London Advertiser in Bethnal Green. The only reason she got a peerage was because she wanted to run to be the local Labour candidate, and they didn't want her to run because, and I was told quite categorically the reason was given was that local Muslim men wouldn't vote for a Muslim woman to be in that role, and Muslim communities played a huge role in the Labour Party in Tower Hamlets. That was what I was categorically told by someone who was involved in that decision-making process, and so she was bought off, basically given a peerage, go away quietly. But then she's been on the payroll for the rest of us, with no particular. There is nothing that she does or has any knowledge of or interest in or skills in that are particularly useful to anybody, but she's claimed a whopping load in expenses.
She has, and when that scandal came up, it was claiming that her house in Maidstone was her main residence, but she also lived in Wapping in East London, where I used to live, funny enough, which is a very lovely place. So there was £62,000 worth of expenses, which was then bailed out by Lord Ali.
And bearing in mind, she was claiming for hotels, of course, this was at a time when MPs and peers didn't actually have to give receipts.
They don't know.
Because it was all done on trust, and as we know, that was
it worked so well.
And then these people are still outraged that we expect receipts. Can you get any expenses from any business you've ever worked in? I've been rubbish at claiming expenses when I have had expenses in past jobs. As a political editor, I'm just like, the amount of effort involved,
Exactly.
I'd rather not spend it in the first place.
I know, the bag's full of receipts, just sort of randomly shoved at the bottom of my bag. Hopefully I'll be able to claim
for the sausage roll on the 8-hour journey that you had to do for work. Yeah, exactly.
I know, and you just sort of think, but I mean,
and they're claiming hundreds for a hotel overnight that they don't need.
Whole different level. I mean, this is huge amounts.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we don't know whether she was able to pay that money back. I don't know how she could pay it back. I don't know what her income is.
Wow.
But then again, you just get into these things. We remember Peter Mandelson's loan for his house from Geoffrey Robertson, go back many years. Anyway, I mean, I just want to hear from you. Let's hear your thoughts, because 3 weeks now we've been talking about Freebiegate. 3 weeks now. Two-tier Keir becoming free gear Keir. Now he's paid back some of the free gear from Keir to the people who gave him it. I'm bet they're chuffed because it probably didn't cost them that much anyway. Yeah. Why not give the money to charity? Wouldn't that be better if they could give away free tickets to Taylor Swift, Grander Pop? Couldn't you just give that money to charity? I hope they give that money to charity. But he's kept all the suits. He's changing the rules. He says he didn't do anything wrong, but he's paying the money back and he won't do it again. But the whole thing is so murky. Does it smack of corruption? I don't think corruption as such. It's just tacky, it's hypocritical, and it also just smacks of an entitlement attitude for me. That's the thing. And this constant refrain of, I obeyed the rules, but we're going to change the rules and I'm going to pay the money back. None of that adds up. And I wrote a piece of the Sun newspaper last week saying, if you think for someone who was a top barrister and the Director of Public Prosecutions, you'd come up with a better defence. I mean, last week it was, my son made me do it. Wasn't it? I mean, literally, I had to move into an apartment in an £18 million penthouse in Covent Garden because my son was doing his GCSEs. Yeah, well, he was doing his GCSEs for a month longer than any other kid in the country. I want to hear your reaction to this. Do you say, like, I don't care anymore, doesn't matter, done and dusted, or are you still, as a lot of people are, hopping mad about these freebies? And does him paying the money back make it okay? Does that matter to you? I want to hear from you. Give us a call on 0344 499 1000, text on 87222, and get in touch on X at TalkTV. Calls are charged at the national rate. Text costs £1, standard network rate message. And also, if you are one of the people, apparently about 6 people in the country, who paid for your own ticket to see Taylor Swift, I'd love to hear from you as well. Claire, let's also move on and talk about world affairs. We've focused massively this week, obviously, on events in the Middle East. A couple of developments here. Obviously, we know that Benjamin Netanyahu has made it clear that there will be, response, retaliation, revenge, whatever word you want to call it, on Iran for that massive missile attack. It is a simple matter of, Israel's and US military expertise that no one was killed no Israelis were killed in that barrage of 300 missiles. But US President Joe Biden has said he does not support any potential Israeli retaliatory strike on Iranian nuclear sites. Now, that has been one of the things that Israel has threatened. There's also talk of them threatening oil depots as well. Oil being, of course, even though embargoed, sanctioned to the West, they're still selling huge amounts of oil to China and other countries. That would absolutely break the regime. We're told also by Sir Ben Wallace, the former Defence Secretary of many years standing, that our armed forces are unable to actually help protect Israel from ballistic missile attacks from Iran because we're simply not up to it. And that basically we're in only a supporting role because we lack the weapons needed to repel such an attack, which is pretty scary, isn't it?
It is pretty scary, and it begs the question, what on earth has the previous government, been doing over 14 years to allow the armed forces to be degraded to such a point?
When they always say they stand up for the armed...
Yeah, and it's a really serious point. And you can talk about increasing defence spending, but they should have been doing that over a decade. So why haven't they?
And the sensible people have been calling for that. There are things you can scrimp on. And there's often this thing, and you worked in government in the Home Office, there is this thing where it's just like, it's easier sort of to scrap defence because it's not a day-to-day thing that people see, but they do see day-to-day whether there are enough GPs or nurses or teachers in the schools or trains running.
Yes, I mean, that's right. But you got to the point where there weren't even boots for our forces personnel to go out with. I mean, basic things like boots. But people don't understand what defence and the defence capabilities, A, what it costs, and B, what they're there for. So it's not something that's comprehensible to the real world.
It's not wasted money if you don't use them. You need to have them to not be able to use, not have to use them. That's the irony. It is interesting also that the Israeli military, the IDF, have said today that the head of the Hamas government in the Gaza Strip, that's Rouhi Mushtaha, has been killed by the IDF in a strike 3 months ago. They only just announced that now. Often it takes a long time to obviously validate and verify these things, but they say they have taken out the head of the Hamas government in the Gaza Strip. Of course, still haven't taken out basically the head of Hamas, who is holed up those guys ahead of they're in multi-million-pound apartments and driving around in rollers, aren't they? The man who's basically leading Hamas fighters in southern Gaza. Again, I think it's only a matter of time, to be honest with you. But there we are. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Do still get in touch about what's going on in the Middle East. Really appreciate your thoughts.